quotes, infused with the scent of potpourri, films we commit to memory. Crossing the felt ropes, watching from home on my TV, looking at all my eyes can see. They tell me I view obsessively.
Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer, a weekly podcast reviewing 2 new or recent release titles every episode with an occasional free-for-all segment at the end that we call Potpourri. I'm your host, Matt Hurt, and you can find more of my work, including my written reviews, full episode show notes, and the complete backlog of our episodes and spin-off podcasts at obsessiveviewer.com. You can also follow me on Letterboxd and other social media platforms at the username of Obsessive Viewer. And if you'd like to support us and get access to hundreds of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. This week on Patreon, or recently on Patreon, I did an immediate reaction a while ago about a clown in a cornfield, which includes an anecdote about a very interesting theater experience where the movie stopped playing and the theater was evacuated for thunderstorm warnings and stuff. So check that out on Patreon. And I also have a special episode about my experience watching 28 Days Later at the Alamo Drafthouse. And I recently posted an immediate reaction for The Life of Chuck, which is my current frontrunner for Movie of the Year 2025. So once again, you can sign up over at Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for all of that and a bunch more content. And if you want to support me without messing with Patreon or getting free stuff or extra stuff, you can always buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/obsessiveviewer. This week on the show, I'll be reviewing the new movie from Jesse Armstrong on Max, Mountainhead, in this week's secondary review. But before that, we're going to go over some movie news, some Indianapolis screenings, and some other stuff going on before reviewing the latest and perhaps final entry in the Mission Impossible franchise, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, in this week's feature review. And joining me this week are a pair of podcasters making their first appearance on the Obsessive Viewer podcast. They recently launched a new show called Our Real Relationships, in which they examine movies through the lens of their relationship with themselves and others, as well as their relationship with the movie itself. Please welcome to the show, Brandon and Chelsea Cruz. Welcome, you guys.
Hi, thank you. You're so much better at introducing our podcast than we are. Good job.
I agonized over that script. That's several different rewrites. So yeah.
It was perfect. I loved it. I'm going to steal it for our show.
Thank you. Oh, absolutely. Take.
Yeah, actually, we're just going to take the audio from this and we'll start our show.
Our new intro sign in.
Nice. Just not even just that. Just the first 2 minutes of this episode is just every episode of our real relationships is some dude talking about Mission Impossible. Yeah, it is kind of.
And the Indianapolis screening.
Yes.
From the week of June 3rd.
On this episode of Our Real Relationships, Indianapolis screenings from 2 years ago.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you. That was wonderful, Matt.
Oh, thank you. And thank you guys for joining me. Of course.
For having us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's I'm very excited. Of course, I know Brandon from podcasting and everything. This is his first appearance on The Obsessive Viewer, but he has been on my solo show Anthology in the past, which, Brandon, I know that it's been a while, but I'm still going to promote your Twilight Zone podcast. Of course.
It might come back someday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But of course, Brandon is the host of Submitted for Your Approval, the second best Twilight Zone podcast that is on hiatus frequently. I would say first best. Mine is,
No. That's we are in a category of Twilight Zone hiatus podcast.
Yes.
And so there's, have the different categories, right? You're like, TV and film, best in after shows. But then there's the hiatus ones. And we've got that one covered.
Exactly.
I think we're in the top two.
Oh yeah, we're innovators. We're innovators. Yeah.
As Rod Serling would probably say.
Exactly. So, but you can check out Submitted for Your Approval. Brandon also hosts Interdimensional RSS and Apathetic Enthusiasm. And the aforementioned Our Real Relationships is the new venture you guys have started.
Bit of a podcast. Can I cuss on this?
Hell yes, you can.
Whore is what I was going to say.
Nice.
Bit of a podcast whore is what you are.
I guess whore is kind of like a cuss
It's
word.
kind of an offensive word to some people.
Yeah.
Not me. I get called it every day, and it doesn't bother me a bit.
On podcast strumpet.
You are a podcast tart.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We Chelsea and I, we've been married for over 20 years, and we both love movies. We love horror movies more than any other genre, but like we
didn't want to get too niche.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we started talking about a bunch of different movies, and like we always talk about movies, and she was taking a bunch of film classes, and like, this is fun. This is fun. We should make
we should make other people listen to us talk about it.
We should make a date of it, of making people miserable.
And that is great. Like,
sometimes we rope our kid into it too, and
Yeah.
a little PG-13 section for our 13-year-old.
I love that because I've listened to the Jaws episode, and for the listeners, they do bonus episodes where they call them PG-13 bonus episodes where their son gets on the mic and talks about his experience and his feelings about the movie. I'm really liking that format and the way that you guys have like a separate episode for his stuff. Yeah, it's really cool. And it does not come across that you're forcing him to do anything, which is always good.
He likes it secretly.
Yeah.
The only thing we force on him is the last question of each episode, which is who are the best parents?
Who are the coolest parents? We make him say it before we sign off.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or else no food.
Yep. You're holding huge cue cards behind him
I thought you were
behind
going
you.
to say cubes of cheese dangling in front of him. I bet you're starving.
If you see on like the behind the scenes video of the episodes, you just see him like kind of like zombie,
Salivating.
like
Chomping.
That's amazing.
Poor Dexter.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's how you guys got started with Our Real Relationships.
Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
It will eventually, I
A
promise.
little bit of a twister.
Yeah.
Here's a trick. Give yourself like 10 milliseconds in between hour and real.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Our Real Relationships.
Our Real Relationships.
10
There we
seconds,
go.
not 10 milliseconds.
That I can't tell time.
Generous pause.
Yeah. But another really interesting thing you guys do with ORR is
Nice.
There you go.
Much better, but still hard. Oh,
it is that it reminds me of the like meme or
Scooby-Doo.
whatever. No, the meme where they were like SEAL trainers getting ready for to give treats to the SEALs or something, and it's just a clip of whoever presented the Oscar to the movie RRR. It's just them just going RRR.
Good movie. Liked that movie.
Oh, it was
RRR.
great. Oh, it was
So
fantastic.
Brandon hasn't seen it yet. but
Oh,
it's
really?
so good.
I saw bits of it.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I saw the first
What's
R.
really good.
Mhm.
I was pleasantly surprised, but we're
Yeah.
not here to talk about that.
No,
But
we're not. But
Good one.
what I was getting at is one of the things that you guys do on your show is you include charities or causes that you highlight each episode that somewhat relate to the movie. So like on your Jaws episode, there was a shark.
Shark Foundation.
Shark
yeah.
Foundation. So, yeah, how did that kind of come about in terms of creating it as part of the setup for the show, and how's it going?
Wait, I'll start. I'm the man. I get to start.
Yeah, you'll also finish first, man. Go ahead.
When we were brainstorming a lot of Our Real Relationships and like getting into it at the start, we're talking about like what's the format, like what do we want to do, and Chelsea, like she took it, she was all in,
Became beautiful mind about it.
Yeah,
Nice.
like just podcast equations in front of her face, and she was just like, it was like one night just hammering out ideas, like good idea after good idea after good idea.
Nice.
And so this idea came up, Chelsea.
The charities, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where that idea came from. Where do ideas come from? They just appear, as is a quote from Empire Records. But we watched Joe Bob Briggs on Shudder, and when he does a special like for Christmas, he'll highlight some charities, maybe 4, 5, 6 different charities that particular marathon, and I just really I love that. So we're incorporating that, and we don't give as much as Joe Bob is able to give. We usually keep it under the $100 mark for ourselves. But,
sure.
Anything helps.
Yeah.
Anything we could do, and anything we could do to make people aware of these different charities makes me feel good.
Yeah, and I thought again, it's a fantastic idea, and I'm so glad you had it, and because it's
not my money, it's your money. You make the money, and I was like, I know where to put it.
Wait a minute, I'm not happy about this anymore. But no, like it feels good to have that aspect of the show of being able to like think about what is the a theme of this movie. This could be about mental health, so let's look up mental health,
right?
Or adoption. Let's look up some adoptive charities.
Right. We did that one for aliens,
right.
Oh, nice.
For the Mother's episode.
For Mother's Day. Yes. Single moms.
And so like it's fun to find those charities, and it's also it feels good to
bring a charity that's maybe not in the spotlight quite often to the forefront. If for anyone who is listening and paying attention, I don't know.
That's right, and that's why our next charity is Goodwill. Inc.
It's the Matt Hurt charity.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything, but I will just say
5 cents.
Yeah. I will just say once again, patreon.com/obsessiveviewer.
Buy me a coffee.
Buy me a coffee.
It's an official charity. What is it? The 401c or something like that?
Sure.
501. Yeah.
All I'm saying is help me feed my cat, guys, please.
A cat can't keep drinking coffee though.
No, she can't.
In the eyes of the angel.
Oh no. But yeah, so I'm very excited for you guys to be doing this show, to be doing our real relationships. I'm gonna nail it by the end of this episode.
You and Brandon both.
Yeah. But I'm very excited, and also like you said, raising awareness for maybe causes and charities and organizations, foundations that aren't getting as much of a spotlight or haven't gotten enough spotlight lately. Like one of the things that I really like about that just whole thing that you're doing is that these episodes will exist in perpetuity for however long you guys pay to keep it posted.
That's right.
And so like someone in like a year or two could be like, oh hey, let's check out this Jaws episode. Oh hey, yeah, I can help save some sharks. So
that's
really
true.
good.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
I feel even better about myself.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, charities, you should be thanking us.
And I make sure to do a little mini vet on the charities to make sure that their program expense ratios are high and their debt to income ratios are low and all that, so that we're putting money where it's going to do something good.
Yep. Nice. That's good. That is very good. So again, patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Don't dig too deep into that. Just say it and it'll be good. Anyway,
I'll grab your logo and then we'll put it on our next episode.
Nice.
Sure,
our real relationships. Our next episode.
Yes. But welcome to our obsessive viewer. I can't. But before we move on and everything, where can people find you guys online, find your show, find all the stuff you guys do?
Oh boy, Brandon had a cheat sheet somewhere. but it's gone now.
No. Oh, I get that.
But I'm pretty sure we're on Blue Sky at ourrealrelations.bluesky.social, bsky.social, or whatever it is. I don't know. I've never been on Blue Sky, so I don't know what it does.
Blow Sky.
Brandon likes to tell people we're on RedTube, but that's not true at all.
No.
She's saying that as she's winking and like crossing her fingers. It's really weird. I don't.
Not at all.
Yeah, ourrealrelations.bsky.social, YouTube, where we do video versions of the podcast over, and we upload them to our the mothership Apathetic Enthusiasm. There are playlists out there for that, and then Instagram, Our Real Relationships.
And real is REEL because we're funny.
Because it's a movie thing. It's a movie thing.
Exactly.
We're so clever.
It's like movie, like not a fishing. It's not a fishing podcast.
No, but they're probably. Oh man, we could start one.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we
Just
could
keep the same name.
like, go back and forth.
This
like-
episode's about fishing, and then people who are tuning in for the movies are like, "Crap."
I caught a 20-inch pike in Springer Lake
Obsessed
last
with
week.
pike lately. I don't know. What
Springer Lake has pike.
Oh, pike's not a name; it's a fish. That's from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Nice.
I like movies.
Yes. As I can tell.
You might say we're obsessive. about it.
Nice. How very real of you to say that. But you can also do a whole series. Well, technically, you already started with Jaws, but a whole series on like fish-related episodes, fish-related movies.
We should have just done fish movies.
I think that was like one of the first jokes we made during the Jaws. We're like, oh yeah,
there's
real.
enough piranha movies to get us halfway through.
Yeah.
The year.
3 Double D.
Mm-hmm. Or even just fishing movies, like do A River Runs Through It.
River runs through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
That's the only one we can think
all
of.
the rest of them.
Legends of the Fall. Is Legends of the Fall have fishing in it, or am I just thinking Brad Pitt does fishing
Brad
movies?
Pitt.
Yeah.
Old Man in the Sea. That's a fishing.
Mhm.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
We topped out.
Yep.
Yeah. Pinocchio.
Finding Nemo.
Yes.
That's it.
Nice.
So, well, you're right. We would have run out real
A
fast.
fish called Wanda.
Real fast.
There you go.
Oh, a
That
fish called Wanda. Nice. Good
Yeah.
one.
that would be
You're
a fun.
good at this game. Do another one. Name another fish one. Quick. Quickly.
Holy Grail.
No.
My Python Holy Grail. Damn it. Okay, I lost.
Oh,
Wow.
So much pressure. Too much
Yeah.
pressure.
Way too much pressure. I'm sorry
much
for facilitating that. But definitely check out Brandon and Chelsea's show, Our Real Relationships. Almost got it. That was pretty good.
Just,
Yeah.
you're almost a part of this relationship. With
You know,
how close you're getting.
I feel like I am. I feel like I am.
Part of the family.
Yes. I'll be down for Christmas. So
Do it. Then we can all record in the same room. We can all squish into one chair.
Yes, that sounds great.
He's winking and crossing his fingers. I don't know why.
For video version of this podcast, go to RedTube.
Buy me a copy. Oh, geez, please. Red too.
Nice. Well done.
Okay, let's segue. How do you segue out
I
of that?
know. So yeah, I got nothing, but
He goes to the ocean in Mission Impossible.
well,
That's like a fish related thing.
yeah.
Fish live.
I do have just a quick rundown of things that are playing this week in Indianapolis. Where are you guys at, actually, now that I think about it?
We are in your basement.
No, nice. That's weird
Address
because I
is-
live in an apartment and there's no basement.
We're in the laundry room of the apartment.
Well, your apartment's the Alamo. We're in the basement.
Oh, okay.
California.
California. We're
California.
in a suburb of a suburb of a suburb of Los Angeles.
Yeah, kind of the valley.
Nice.
California, Los
Nice.
Angeles.
Okay, yeah, because I
We're-
know
we're those people.
Yes.
because I know in
People love
right. Because I know that in the run of the many years that I have known Brandon, You guys have been in Hawaii and I think Florida at one point.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
they've been on the run.
Yeah.
On the lam.
Yeah. But not Indianapolis, which brings me to the segment playing this week in Indianapolis. Very weak segue. So I don't have much in terms of what's playing this week in Indianapolis, but I will say that the Alamo Drafthouse on Lafayette Road is one of several theaters that are playing the 4K remaster of Dogma. That's going to be this Sunday. I think this Sunday and also Friday, I believe, but that's also going to be at the Can, which the Can is going to have, on June 10th, they're going to have, Hitchcock's Rope, which is part of their Out at the Movies Pride series, which is going to include some other things, but, this weekend it will be Rope. Is June 10th this weekend? I hope so. Let me check really quickly. No. June 10th is Tuesday. Yeah. Anyway, on Tuesday, they're going to be showing Rope at the Can Theater. And then elsewhere in Indianapolis at Keystone Art, which is like right in my backyard, they are doing, of course, their Retro Rewind series, where every Tuesday they show a retro or like not currently run big release. And for their June series, they're going to have a bunch of Pride related movies. And on June 10th, this coming Tuesday, they're going to be showing Milk at Keystone Art. So check that out. I will put links in the show notes of this episode to all of these theaters. And I also do want to highlight that once again at the Alamo Drafthouse, every second or the first and third Sunday of each month at the Alamo Drafthouse at 6 p.m. The first and third Sundays, there is movie trivia hosted by my friend and colleague, Lou Harry. So that won't be this weekend, but next weekend they will be having movie trivia at Alamo Drafthouse on Sunday. And that wraps up what is playing this week in Indianapolis. Chelsea, anything pop out from that spiel that I said?
Yeah, it all sounded wonderful.
Nice.
It kind of makes me want to come see all those movies. I
Nice.
love Rope. It's one of my favorite movies.
It's
So-
incredible.
It really is a work of art.
Yes.
So I'm excited for everyone who lives there to go
Mhm.
see it.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that they're doing the Pride movies.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Oh yeah. Definitely awesome. It's
I've
definitely
only seen Milk once. Have you seen Milk?
I have not seen Milk.
I'm
I've
shocked.
drank Milk. I've
Okay, that's close.
yeah, I've repeated jokes so many times that people have said that I've milked them. But I've not seen the movie Milk. So that is one that I need
think
to do.
you gotta pass.
Yeah.
You've probably seen 1,000 more movies than I have seen. So
Mostly
mostly I'm just impressed with how smooth your rundown is.
Oh, thank you.
Podcaster, Matt.
You know, it is due to the fact that I don't really have much else of a life outside of this and my job. But
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're able to hone your skills in your alone time.
Oh, yes. But I also
Brandon had
have...
gone to get us a drink, but now he's back.
Yes. So
Hi.
we've been vamping. Welcome back, Brandon.
It's gonna be back. Thanks for having me.
Show Rope.
Of course.
Yeah, I've never seen Rope.
I watched it in a film
Interesting.
school.
Nice.
I hear it's about throwing mama from a train.
Oh my God!
That's a-
Everything died when
Sure.
you said
That's
that.
a
Everything died.
that's a plot point in Throw Mama from the Train, isn't it?
No,
oh no, it's
not
Strangers on a Train.
Strangers on
Oh.
a Train. The Hitchcock movie that they
Oh,
use to
that's
throw
why.
Mama from the
Mm.
train.
That's why I didn't land right because I'm like mama.
Yeah, that's why. We didn't rehearse these, if you can't tell.
No, it
Jokes
is.
are off the cuff.
This is why I wasn't here vamping the entire time.
Yeah.
You brought me my old ass drink that
Nice.
had like one finger left in it.
We can have some.
I'm gonna drink yours.
Oh, good.
I was having a vodka grapefruit, but now I'm gonna switch to drink Brandon's whiskey, which
Nice.
will surely mix really well.
Nice. I have talked about this many times before in my life, but I I'm not, so I don't really drink, but I can't do like hard liquor. Like I can't, I wouldn't say that I envy people that can do this, but like my
liver doesn't envy me.
Yeah. But I've never been one who could like imagine taking like a glass of whiskey and just like taking a sip and not like having like like gagging at it or like being like very embarrassingly like not being able to
Well, good thing that you're interesting without it, so you don't need it like we do.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
Did you just spit into that drink?
Yeah, so you won't drink it. It's
Oh
mine.
no. He spit his drink back.
That's the tip to drinking whiskey is you spit in it, right? And then
Okay.
You mix your own taste with whiskey taste, and then it's just like, oh, okay, now it's normal.
Now
it's
it
normalized.
is.
It levels it out. I get
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Right.
The pH. I don't know.
Yeah. So
It's like you don't go swimming in just a pool with like no chlorine in it, right?
You peed it first.
Right.
So what I need is like a jar of your spit to send up to me so I can mix it in with that. That's my takeaway from it. It needs to be your spit.
Then you'll be tasting Brandon.
Yeah, no.
You won't be tasting yourself.
It's like to avoid allergies, you take
You need
honey.
local.
You need local honey. So it's the same thing with your saliva. You need local saliva.
Okay.
This has gone off the rails.
Certainly has. And
Somebody out there is like, were they going to talk about a movie? Like, nope. We're going to spit and drink.
In some ways, going off the rails is basically the theme of Mission Impossible.
that is true. Very true. I do have one more segment before we get to the review, though. Yeah, that's okay, though. And this is going to be a tough segue because it is a very serious and somber thing. But news before the reviews. I have a couple of news items. One that is definitely going to kill all energy in this episode, but the actor Jonathan Joss from King of the Hill, he voiced John Redcorn, and he was also in Parks and Recreation, passed away over the weekend in a very tragic and sounds like a very violent shooting. Yeah, so I will put a link in the show notes, but I just wanted to kind of highlight that, you know, the passing of Jonathan Joss, and you just kind of highlight the hate crime of it all. As someone who podcasts about an animated show, Brandon, were you a fan of Jonathan Joss's work? Were you a fan of King of the Hill or anything?
I saw the news on the King of the Hill like Facebook page, and they pretty straight posted the news article from it, and there was a part of me that was like, is this a gag? Like I was having a hard time being like, why did a news article get posted? Is this the official channel, or did somebody make a Facebook of King of the Hill? And then like scrolling down below that, I saw that he was actually, you know, it was real. I was like, holy crap. Like,
yeah.
I watched King of the Hill when I was a kid. I watched it. I didn't know who Jonathan Joss was. I knew who John Redcorn is. And it was kind of shocking. And like that happened so violently. The King of the Hill revival's coming out soon where they're all older. And like, you know, he was a part of that for a couple episodes. So it's just, you know, even not having known who he is that much, it's still just, it's sad because
it's so senseless.
Yeah.
Like, because it was sent. Yeah, exactly. Multiple times, shot multiple times. And then his husband, or I think it was his husband.
Yeah.
Posting a long article of like talking about how it was a hate crime. It sucks.
Yeah, just absolutely horrible.
We're lucky we get to just sit here and talk about movies. And that kind of things are going on in the world, and I just can't. It's too much. Yeah,
absolutely. That is one of the reasons why podcasting is a nice
Impossible.
Escape. Exactly. After the second news item that I have.
Damn it.
So
We'll be back after the break. More about
Stop trying to run his podcast.
it's force of habit.
It's needed from my perspective, honestly. But just to say, Jonathan Joss, rest in peace. I will put a link in the show notes to the article about that, but I will also put a link to where you can find his husband's statement, and I would say everyone should read it, the entire statement. Even if you don't want to, even if you're one of those people who doesn't want to have those, like, you know, that negativity in your life or anything, I think it's important to read. Yeah. I think it's important to read it so that you are aware that things happen. And it's just, I think you should, I think it should be read.
Aware, not just that aware that things happen, but aware that these things still happen.
Yes.
And that we are not immune from hate.
Maybe we're not as progressive as we like to think we are.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
But we can try. We can try, guys.
We certainly can. And then on a slightly lighter note, or definitely lighter note.
Even less.
Oh, no.
Happy note.
The other piece of news that I have is that Ridley Scott recently had some words to say about the Alien franchise that, in classic Ridley Scott fashion, he said, as in regards to the Alien franchise, he said, "I think I felt it was deadened after 4. I think mine was pretty damn good, and I think Jim's was good, and I have to say the rest were not very good. And I thought, fuck, that's the end of a franchise that should have been as important as bloody Star Trek or Star Wars, which I think is phenomenal. At least I think the first one by George is seminal. It was as seminal as 2001. To me, it was that important in terms of film language and where you go next." And then he went on to say, where the Alien franchise is going now, I think I've done enough, and I just hope it goes further. So all that's to say that he is presumably not going to do anything with the Alien franchise going forward. But obviously, Alien lives on because we've got Alien Earth coming out, and the sequel to Romulus is in the works as well.
Great.
Yeah, so I didn't
even know that.
Yep.
And I'll throw this out there too. Predator Badlands is coming out.
Yes.
And that has ties to Weyland-Yutani.
Yep. Yeah. So it's very prosperous franchise.
I'm wearing a Space Force shirt. I need to know things about space.
I have an Elvira shirt on. It has nothing to do with this.
Nice. I've got a Batman shirt on, so there's that.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us, you guys. Who'd have
thought? So what do you guys make of the Ridley Scott statement, and how do you feel about the Alien franchise? I know you guys have covered Aliens on our real relationships. Yeah. How do you feel about the franchise and Ridley Scott's statements?
Ridley Scott, good filmmaker, right? He came out with Prometheus, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is an Alien prequel," and it is. It's an Alien prequel. It shows us how the engineer got onto LV426 or whatever. Alien nerd over here. But he didn't want it to be explicitly about being an Alien prequel. He's like, "Yeah, we'll throw that in there as a tie," but he wanted to explore a lot more of the Fassbender character and where that went. And I think the feedback from that was, damn it, we want an Alien prequel, which is why Alien Covenant came out, which showed more of that. And I don't think that's what the direction he wanted to go. I think he wanted to tell a completely different story in that universe of Alien. And he didn't get a chance to do that. Then I think Fede Alvarez came and did Prometheus, and so it's like now it's going in this Romulus, going this whole different direction. He's like, okay, well,
I'm rich.
I'm done.
Yeah.
He's rich and British.
I'll
Like,
go-
it's out of your hands now. Hand it on to the next
Has
generation.
anybody done
Mr.
Robin
Scott.
Hood yet? I think I should do a Robin Hood movie.
Oh, is he doing a Robin Hood?
No, he
movie?
did it already.
Oh,
He did it.
you know
Oh,
so
God.
much more about it than I do. Holy mackerel.
We should do another Blade Runner 2049. I should call it. Like, no, you can't do that.
I've seen the first 2 Alien movies, and then I saw the last 2. So there's a big gap in between that I'm missing.
I feel like
But yeah, I understand. I'm not really missing it, Bob. I just
Nice. Well done.
What- Chelsea has has an interesting tidbit about the Alien composers.
well, as far as I know from when we were reviewing when we talked about Aliens, every movie at that point had a different composer.
Oh, interesting.
I am really into composers and score and thing like that. So I think it's really interesting to have a different composer come in, try and make it sound like the iconic original, make it sound recognizable to people who are a fan of the original score, but then put your own spin on it so that you don't just get accused of copying someone else. So I
Yeah.
just think that's interesting.
That's very interesting. Huh.
It is to me.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like James Gunn's Superman coming out.
Mhm.
The latest trailer has hints of the John Williams Superman score
Mhm.
in it, although it is a different composer and it's a different, it has that theme to it, which is
How much pressure
motif.
you must be under to come in after John Williams and,
Yeah.
and be like, but make it sound like him, but not too much like him.
Right.
Not
Oh my
Superman.
gosh. Ooh.
Yeah, that's insane. I couldn't imagine.
Anyway, and that's
Yeah.
why Ridley Scott sucks.
Oh my goodness.
Well, there we
What a
go.
Bold take.
Gladiator 2,
No, that's fair. Yeah.
Electric Boogaloo.
I haven't seen Gladiator 2 yet, so don't spoil it for me. I just watched the first Gladiator this year
Mm.
for the first time. So I'm way behind. I won't watch Gladiator 2 until like 2047 or something like that.
When Gladiator 3 comes out.
That's right.
Right.
Right before Gladiator 3 comes out.
Oh God. But something that is I can't transition into this. Something that is concluding. I don't know. I'm gonna scrap this segue. Let's get into our review of the feature review of the night.
You know, it was impossible. That
Yeah.
segue.
Thank you. Yes. Well done. Yes. So speaking of impossible segues and impossible whatever Chelsea just said, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is our feature review for this episode. So of course we're going to go ahead and go into our thoughts on it. As usual, we're going to do a non-spoiler review, and then when we switch over to spoilers, I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. If you want to avoid spoilers or otherwise bounce around the episode, check the show notes for timestamps. Those are also available at obsessiveviewer.com/OV478. And here we go, our feature review, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. To bring us into it, I will just say that it is currently in theaters. It was released on May 23rd, 2025, and the premise, according to Letterboxd, not IMDb, because IMDb had a weird premise, is Ethan Hunt and team continue their search for the terrifying AI known as the Entity, which has infiltrated intelligence networks all over the globe, with the world's governments and a mysterious ghost from Hunt's past on their trail. The movie was directed by Christopher McQuarrie and written by Eric Jenderson and Christopher McQuarrie, and the cast includes... Here we go. Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Esai Morales, Palm Clementif, Henry Czerny, Nick Offerman, Hannah Waddingham, Tramal Tillman, Angela Bassett, and Shea Wiggum. Whew. So,
Did you say Nick Offerman?
I did.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yep.
I didn't fall
Oh, no.
asleep.
Yeah.
I zoned out when you said Henry Cherney or Czerny
Yeah,
or whatever. it was you said, because
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, oh, I've been pronouncing it Cherney, and that's probably wrong.
Oh,
yeah.
it might be.
But,
I don't know.
So I zoned out.
I zoned out too because the cast list is as long as the first half of this episode so far.
It is, which is also about the the amount of the first third of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Man, I wish I'd watched Mission Impossible for this podcast. It would have really helped me. Just kidding, guys.
So let's go into our review finally.
I'm so curious what IMDb said about it, though.
Oh, yeah. It was just...
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like a weird logline thing. Not even logline. It was like a, it would not have done any favors.
Like a buddy cop movie with Simon Pegg and Tom Cruise.
It's the final movie. It's
the
right.
final reckoning.
With
Oh, yeah.
the past.
Here is the plot summary, the premise on IMDb for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Our lives are the sum of our choices. Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Oh.
Like that's
Someone dropped the ball. I got lazy.
yeah.
That tells me nothing.
That's not a premise.
No. Yeah.
I think that isn't that the summary for After Earth or whatever.
It could be the summary for anything.
Minority Report.
Yeah. That is,
Hey,
and
you
that's
start us off. Where do you want to start, Matt?
Yeah. So let's see. So this is the 8th Final Destination Mission Impossible. That was last week's episode. The 8th
Final
Mission
Reckoning.
Impossible. Yeah.
Get distracted, Brandon.
And before we get into our just broad strokes talk about the movie, what is your guys' relationship with the Mission Impossible franchise in the lead up to The Final Reckoning?
Go ahead, Chelsea.
You start.
You start. Okay.
You start.
I'll start and I'll pass it to Chelsea.
Yes.
Because the contrast, the juxtaposition is going to be great. I saw the first movie in '96. I was 13 years old, and it was one of my favorite movies for the longest time. The whole spy aspect of it, the complexity of the plot, and like all of the stuff that was happening with Ethan Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I watched that movie multiple times. Some of my relatives who watched the original show with Peter Graves, they're like, "Wait, Jim Phelps is a bad guy? F this thing. F this thing." But I loved it. The second Mission Impossible came out. I did not like it. I saw that in the theaters. I think it was directed by John Woo.
Yeah.
And it was such a departure from the first one, where it was like it turned into an action movie, whereas the first one was action, but it had those spy aspects to it, and then the second one was like, nah, screw that. I didn't see the third one for a long time, and to be honest with you, John Woo ruined me for a while.
Interesting.
I went back the Lost guy.
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. He did the third one, I think.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, when the last movie started coming out, I'm like, okay, let me go back and start watching them again. And then I'm like, I did like a marathon of Mission Impossible. I'm like, damn it, I really do like these movies a lot. So the one right before this, I forget the title of it.
Was it Ghost Recon, the one right before this, or was that
the
two
one
before this?
that was 2 before this, I think. So I think it goes Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and then Rogue Nation, and then Fallout, and then Dead Reckoning, and then this one.
The Final Reckoning.
Okay, you said some that I definitely haven't seen. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I was present, in and out of the room when Brandon was doing his marathon, and I was just like, "This is still on? Now what's happening? He's giving the world again?
What the hell's
Good
going on with
job.
this guy?"
He's still running? Tom Cruise is just, I would leave the room, he'd be running somewhere. I'd walk in, he's still running somewhere.
And so I saw Dead Reckoning in theaters, like when I was on a work trip somewhere, and I'm like, oh man, I want to see where this ends, right? And so then the Final Reckoning comes out. We wanted you asked about it. I wanted to see it, but then I wasn't going to see it. But then you hit me up, and I was like, okay,
It's meant to be.
Chelsea.
Gotta close it out.
She's like, yeah, I'll go. I love being on podcasts. And so we went with the Final Reckoning. I took Chelsea. I took Dexter.
Nice.
It was Dexter's first. I'm pretty sure we showed him the first one a long time ago, and he doesn't remember it. So for all intents and purposes, it was his first Mission Impossible movie he was seeing, and he's 13. And Brandon saw his first one when he was 13.
Nice.
And now we're seeing the last one at 13.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
it's kind of crazy. So that I do love the series. Thinking about the first one, it's still one of my favorite movies.
Same.
Nice.
No, I mean, I
Chelsea.
am blown away by your knowledge of it. I don't have that much to offer except for that I love the first one so much that I don't feel like it's been matched since then. So that's my opinion of it.
What jumps out to you about the first one? That
Emilio Estevez's death.
Yes. Yep.
That's the best death. It's one of the best deaths.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was the first time in Mission Impossible, the first one. It was the first time that they were showing this CG with the pulling the face off. And so that was so impressive. And I was like, how did they freaking do that? And they had all the cool spy stuff and the gum on the fish tank, and everything was amazing. And then so I can't say they didn't match them because I didn't see every single one. And I didn't see, what was the one? Something Dead Reckoning?
Dead
That was
Reckoning.
the last one? I definitely didn't see that one because then Final Reckoning is kind of a continuation of that. So there was a lot of exposition at the beginning, thankfully.
Yeah.
That I could be, we're talking about, I was just like, someone's afraid of AI. Got it. We're going to reflect society's fears in this movie.
Right. It's interesting because Dead Reckoning was original, like it was titled when it came out in 2023. It was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And this next one was going to be Dead Reckoning Part 2. And then it wasn't until, I don't think it was until Dead Reckoning went on VOD that they were like, oh, well, we're not going to make it Part 2. We're not going to make the next one Part 2. We're going to have its own title. So they retroactively titled it Dead Reckoning and dropped the Part 1. Yeah, which I was thankful for because it just, in my brain, it's weird to have two be Part 1 and Part 2 when the rest of the franchise isn't anything. I'm looking at the list of movies and it's already driving me a little insane that it's Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible 2, then Mission Impossible 3 with Roman numerals, and then Mission Impossible subtitles each one. Yeah, so it's messing with
all
my
the
brain.
Rambo movies. Yeah.
Yes.
So convoluted.
Yes.
But I'm pretty pleased with myself because I did just make a wild guess that this was the 8th one.
Nice.
And so I was right. Good for me.
Oh, yeah. One of the really interesting things about the franchise, at least the first half of the franchise basically, is that each of those first 4 installments are directed by someone that is a different director from the previous one. So we've got Brian De Palma did the first one, John Woo, J.J. Abrams, and then Brad Bird did the 4th one.
That's right. Yeah.
What's so interesting to me about those 4 movies is that they do seem like they are of those directors' styles, and very much each entry is a different, just visualized, thing from it. The first one, from what I remember, because it's been a while since I've seen it, the first one, it just has that grimy or gritty Brian De Palma feel to it that really helps it. And then you go from that to John Woo with doves and
motorcycles
and
those fucking doves, man.
Yeah.
You gotta have a calling card.
God,
yeah.
John Woo, why do you have so many doves?
He has a cooing card.
I can't beat that.
Nice.
And lens flare from Abrams, right? There's a lot of that.
Flare, yeah.
Yep. And then Brad Bird,
what does he bring to it? The Incredibles?
Brad Bird
I don't know. Yeah.
That might have been I think, was that his first live action?
I want to say it was, because he previously did The Iron Giant.
Oh, so good.
The not Supernaturals, but
Incredibles.
Yeah.
Incredibles, yes. Oh, yes, and Ratatouille.
So good.
Yeah.
That explains the rat that was on Ethan Hunt's head.
Yes.
Controlling his every
Controlling everything. Nice.
Ratatouille is voiced by Brian Dennehy. That's the only thing I know about Ratatouille.
Yeah, from Rambo.
Mm-hmm.
First one.
Nice. But from there, the last 4 entries are all Christopher McQuarrie. And
interesting.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that it is very much it very much comes once you hit like the fourth movie, Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Reckoning, Final Reckoning, it is very much a Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie joint. Yeah. And
Can
like
you tell me what else the McQuarrie, I'm assuming, are they brothers? The McQuarrie brothers?
No, it's just Christopher McQuarrie. Chris McQuarrie.
You said there was a writer that was also had McQuarrie last name. Was it the same guy?
Same guy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what? This wasn't the first thing when he did Mission Impossible 5. That wasn't the first thing he had done, was it?
No, he had done. He wrote a bunch of stuff. So he wrote The Usual Suspects, Valkyrie.
Oh, wow.
And then he had previously worked as director and writer with Tom Cruise on Jack Reacher.
Okay.
And he also directed Way of the Gun. And yeah.
But then now he's just stuck in this franchise. They
Pretty
signed him up for
much.
4 movies.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I dreamt this, but I feel like I read something about from McQuarrie where he's like, yeah, like Tom Cruise pulled me out of like he boosted me up, and like I'm thankful for him letting me do the last 4 of these movies.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And what I'll say is the last 4 movies, you go from Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3. They have very distinct styles, and it doesn't feel like the same series. But then you go these last 4. That's where the benefit of having the same director comes in.
Yes.
The same styles, the same camera angles, the editing techniques.
I wonder why they changed directors so often. If it's because they didn't like the style, or the directors didn't want to do another one, or they were they didn't know they were going to make any more, or
I can't say for certain, but I don't know if this is just something that I assume or if it's something that I read at some point, but basically exactly. My thought is that those first 4 movies, I think that it was intentionally that they wanted to bring in someone different for each installment, specifically to have their own unique kind of stamp on it. And then at a certain point, Tom Cruise was just like, no, I want Chris McQuarrie to do all of them. And I think part of that, like, I think Chris McQuarrie, is a very talented director, very talented writer. He did breathe life into the franchise, but I also feel like there is definitely a case of like Tom Cruise is running the show and Chris McQuarrie is like, okay, we'll make it happen, Tom. And I think that there's like an element of that at play, which it works.
A symbiotic relationship.
Exactly.
Tom Cruise is like, John, if you put one more dub in my
more
way,
dub.
Best.
I hate the dubs. Why? I know it. Whatever. It's fine. Direct the movie.
He's got a style.
He does. So, so having said all of that, how did you guys feel about the Final Reckoning in non-spoilers?
Oh, I'm nervous about this part with spoilers.
Okay. I'll start.
Please. I might have to go check on the dogs.
Yeah, the dogs are barking at us.
Totally fine.
So the thing that I feel about the Mission Impossible movies is, like they're it's appreciative for the kind of feedback of the explanation of like what happened before, what happened before. To me, there's a certain aspect of I kind of want every movie to stand on its own. That you don't need too much over explanation at the start of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like kind of in the beginning, I'm like, okay, come on. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, the Chelsea and the kid don't know what's going on because they haven't watched any of them. So this is good. This is good for them. And then, yeah, like what I liked is they do all of these like explanations, like this is what our plan is going to be, and then they're doing the voiceover, and then they're actioning the plan, and there's like this movie felt like a bunch of different. I don't know if it's true, but it felt like more so this movie was vignettes of let's do this scene, let's explain what we're gonna do, and now let's do it. Oh, now we're doing it. Next vignette. This is what we're gonna do. Now we're doing it. Next vignette. This is what we're gonna do. Now we're doing it. So it felt like a lot of that over the course of 2.5 hours, right? Because it was fairly long movie.
Yeah, it is. It clocks in at almost 3 hours, I think. But it's interesting because I kind of had the experience where I talked about this last week, so I won't rehash it or whatever, but I was like almost incredibly late to the movie. Like I got in my seat like the moment that the movie was starting.
Where it's doing the Mission Impossible credits, where it's showing, it's like spoiling everything.
Right. That too.
In the opening credits.
No, but I got in my seat as like the IMAX countdown started, and it was just like I've never felt more like Ethan Hunt in my life. But one of the things about it was like I wasn't too crazy about Dead Reckoning. I thought it was fine. I thought it was solid. It is very much a COVID movie in terms of there were a lot of things that they had to kind of a lot of stuff they had to do to cut down in terms of COVID protocols and stuff. So there's a lot of like very weird framing of like two characters talking is like framed very weirdly because they have to be like 6 feet apart or whatever, and some of the effects work wasn't that great. Like I remember when I saw it, it came out in 2023, and when I saw it, I remember the train car sequence. I remember thinking that it did not look good. It did not look like the big set piece of, a Mission Impossible movie. And that's a shame. And then like months later, Godzilla -1 came out, and that had a train sequence that blew that out of the water. And like that famously was on a micro budget, Godzilla, and that was my movie of the year that year. But yeah. Anyway, So with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, when I like in the lead up to it, I was like, I'm not going to have time to watch Dead Reckoning again. So hopefully I can just, hopefully it'll be fine and I won't be too like lost. And like,
hopefully I can just jump right into this and not pay attention to that.
Exactly. And like my neuroses, my anxiety is very much the kind of thing where it's like, I know that this was originally going to be, this is part 2 of a 2-part movie, essentially a 2-part finale. Like I'm going to need to know what happened in Dead Reckoning. I'm going to need to remember it. And then the first 10 minutes of the movie is showing us basically everything from Dead Reckoning. And I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah. It's when you watch like, you're watching a CW show and it's like previously on Supernatural.
Yes.
Like, and you're like, okay, let me. It's what you like skip past on Netflix. You're like,
yes.
Okay, nope, I got this.
Exactly. And it's like I don't know if you ever watched like 24, but like yes, like anytime, any episode, since it was a serialized show, but on network TV week to week, like every episode, they had to basically reiterate everything that was happening in just like dialogue and just be like, oh yeah, we need to do this, like, and this. And it's like, it gets a little tiresome when you're watching it, binging it now. But like, I'm glad, on one hand, I'm glad that The Final Reckoning did that and brought everything up to speed. But on another hand, it's like, I feel like there's a fine line between kind of spoon feeding the audience exposition from the entire franchise and paying homage to and like kind of doing like a curtain call for the franchise. Like there's a middle ground that I feel like the movie didn't really reach with those two things. So
you mentioned the Dead Reckoning Part 1 and then them changing that retroactively. I forgot that it was Dead Reckoning Part 1. And so Final Reckoning, I didn't realize that they had made that change.
Yeah.
And so with Chelsea here, and, you know, she's been suspiciously quiet. I don't know why
she's been taking in all of the information.
Parent.
Yeah. I what I wanted to ask Chelsea was, did you know that this was like the second part of the finale, or like did you go?
No, I didn't realize it was a continuation at all until the exposition at the beginning.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. Yeah. That's the kind of.
I don't know how many people went into this movie without having seen the last one, though.
That's true.
I imagine that a lot of people would have, but I'm one of those exceptions.
I'm trying to look and see if I did an episode about it back in 2023. I don't think I did, but anyway, I'm just like, here's the thing, and I've talked about this before, but I'm constantly like struggling, and I don't want. I feel like this is gonna sound like I'm gonna sound film snobby for a second, but
Do it.
I like
sound better.
I have I have experiences where where I'll be talking to like friends at work, or I'll be talking to people that aren't like in like my critics group that I'm in. So like people that aren't living and breathing movies every second of their life, and wasting their lives watching movies. So like I'll have conversations with them and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, did you see this?" And then it will be like a thing where I have to change up my brain a little bit, because I'll be like, okay, I can go into a whole spiel about how like, oh, this movie is what I didn't really like this movie because it didn't have this and that and all of this. And then I have to realize like normal people just watch movies to watch movies. They watch movies to have fun. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but like,
well, I mean, if you put yourself in those shoes as someone who just goes to see a movie to have fun,
mm-hmm.
what are your initial thoughts about Final Reckoning?
Nice. I think the mise en scene was a little bit too
normal movie.
No, but honestly, what I'm getting at with that is that I need to I'm part of a small section of the movie going audience that knows that it was Dead Reckoning Part 1 and that it was changed. Like it's like a constant struggle with me that I'm like, I need to realize that there are people who go into the theater and that's the moment that they realize that, oh, the guy from Twilight is Batman now. And
I'm that person.
Yeah.
So you can practice on me.
You're Batman?
Yeah.
I'm that person.
Batman?
Almost everything, 90% of the stuff that you guys have said while I've been sitting here, I'm like, that's news to me. So I am very much that
Robert
person.
Pattinson.
Nah. I'm the person who goes into a movie and just like, yeah, I'll go watch this movie. And then it starts, and then I see someone that I recognize from another movie, and then I can't concentrate for the rest of the movie until I figure out where that person is from. But then I don't remember a good chunk of the movie because I've been sitting there trying to think, where have I seen that guy? And I'm thinking of Eastside Morales.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, La Bamba! Like in the middle of the movie, I yelled it in my head. I didn't yell it out loud because I'm not an asshole.
Like,
I'm so glad to hear that.
Memory for movies. So if you ask me a question afterward, did you like it? I'm most likely to be like, it was fine. Yeah, it was good.
Nice.
But it's hard for me to go into detail like you guys are. But I think it's very impressive. And when you guys are going into detail, I am remembering it as you're talking about it, and it's helpful to me to review it that way. So don't feel weird.
Okay.
It's helpful.
Good. Yeah, IMDb still has Dead Reckoning as Dead Reckoning Part 1. Anyway.
I can't trust them over there anymore, can we?
I know.
What I was going to say is like, so the Rick and Morty, the podcast that we have, me and not Chelsea and I, but me and Travis, like what we try to do is in some of my early film school stuff, they're like, watch it once, no expectations, watch it again for analysis, and then watch it a third time. That's a lot of time to watch one movie.
Is. Right? Yeah.
So, you know, like Rick and Morty, okay, it's like 23, 24 minutes. We can do that. It's still a lot of time, but we can do that. For something like it's almost 3 hours long, it's hard to be like, okay,
even
I'm going to enjoy this. Now I'm going to analyze it.
When I was in my film class, now I'll sound pretentious for a little bit.
Nice.
That was something definitely that I was like, I can't really half-ass the part where you watch the movie. I gotta watch the movie. So this is definitely a 3-hour chunk of my day that is not negotiable. I have to spend 3 hours. Like I can't shorten it any. So yeah, it's a lot to. So don't watch it for fun. Watch it for whatever reason you want.
Yeah. Well, as someone whose favorite movie is Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, I think Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning was pretty good. But no, yeah. So let's get into The Final Reckoning. Non-spoilers. I thought it was fun. Honestly, it was a step up from Dead Reckoning, which, as I said before, was kind of marred by some COVID restrictions and in the way it was made and everything. But even more so, like Dead Reckoning introduces the concept of the entity and all of that. And even for a franchise that from the jump has been pretty over the top. I mean, they have masks to change the appearances of people. Even that, like, I felt like a little tinge of like, is this jumping the shark a little bit to have like this sentient AI basically in control of things? Throughout Dead Reckoning. And then because I'm a fan of science fiction and because I'm a fan of that type of thing, I was like, you know, I could see people hating this, but it's right in my wheelhouse, so I'm going to accept it. And I didn't have that kind of conflicting feeling for The Final Reckoning, because I felt like what they did with the entity in The Final Reckoning was like there wasn't any room for it to be silly or weird, because the external stuff were silly and weird. Like Asai Morales' character was way over the top in a delightful way.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, but the way that they just kind of they went for the entity stuff, like the way that they just depicted the entity as just this thing, it just felt like very natural in a weird way, and I liked it. I thought it was very formidable.
What Dead Reckoning, it was like it felt a little supernatural, right?
Yes.
Like he knows everything that's going to happen before it happens. Oh, you're going to betray me, Mantis. You're gonna do it.
That was his Minority Report precog stuff coming in.
Yeah, all of that stuff was going on during Dead Reckoning, and it was like, oh, okay. Well, how are you going to beat something that is predicting the future with all of these millions of different things? It's like, well, do something unexpected. Which, you know, real quick side note, if that is probably part of its calculations, that it's going to expect you to do something unexpected, so it does expect it.
Oh my God, you're just blowing my mind.
So it feels very just fantasy more in Dead Reckoning. Final Reckoning, like, okay, this is it felt more grounded when going into it than Dead Reckoning was.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And one of the things that they hinted at a little bit with Dead Reckoning, or they not necessarily promised in Dead Reckoning, but one of the things that that kind of piqued my interest in Dead Reckoning was that this idea that like Asai Morales' character, that he is kind of been brainwashed by the entity. Like he's like an acolyte or something. He's someone who's like a zealot for like this new religion around the entity and everything. And I thought that's really interesting. And they explore that a little bit in The Final Reckoning, but I feel like that's pretty much like they just reference it a little bit here.
I didn't get that at all from
The
Final Reckoning. I just kind of felt like he was just power hungry, and that was his deal.
I think there was like one scene in Dead Reckoning where it was like they hinted at that it was more like the reason, like his main focus of it was that he was fascinated by the fact that this AI could predict things and everything, and that kind of was like hinted at that it would be this weird like cultish thing, which also now that I'm saying that, I could see why the Final Reckoning didn't run with the whole idea of a cult like thing.
I kind of would have liked it. I think that would have been more interesting, in my opinion, just because that's not something that they do very often. The whole AI taking over trope, I feel like it has been done quite a few times. So I was almost a little disappointed. Like, I've seen iRobot. That's what is happening.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's all I could come up with, is that AI is going to take over. Like, that's already what that's what people said to me yesterday outside of this movie theater. So it didn't feel new and groundbreaking to me.
Yeah, get out of here, cyber Mormons. You know, cyber Mormons.
The real Mormons stopped by my house.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you know, I think
I told them AI was going to take over, take their Bible out of here.
But like to the cult point, like Final Reckoning, they introduced this concept very, very early on of like, oh, there's a cult of the entity, like, oh, long live the entity or whatever.
Yeah.
And they pull back from that.
Way back.
Yeah, they're
I didn't get that at all.
It's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
okay, oh, this is a thing. They're going up against like an entire cult of the entity. And then nothing happens until like 3/4 of the way through the movie with that again. And you know, it was kind of weird that they would introduce that, but not be a major point to it as a lie.
It's weird.
Yeah. And I think that, so like in Rogue Nation, there was something kind of similar to that in a sense, where it was like the ex like agents like formed like the shadow organization or something. I can't remember what it was called, but like I don't know, this is a stupid joke, but like I kind of feel like, you know, if they would have run with that with the Final Reckoning, I mean, it's such an interesting concept to create like this cult around this AI thing, and like, I mean, that's part of like the ideology of it all. It's scientific. They could have called it Scientology, and had that be the focus.
For Scientologists, Matt, we're out of here.
Yeah,
Oh God, I didn't know. I'm so sorry.
Tom Cruise.
He curses you.
But no, so even with that like slight disappointment of like my expectations, I think that this as a final installment is really solid. I don't think the franchise I don't think it had the chance of even topping my top of the franchise, which for me was Fallout. I think that is a near perfect action movie. It's everything I want in that kind of movie. And not to say that like Dead Reckoning and the Final Reckoning were diminishing returns, but I just feel like it was a satisfying enough conclusion to the franchise, but it didn't carry the power of like Fallout. So I don't know.
What I'm trying to formulate how I want to ask this or bring it up. But you know, seeing every Mission Impossible movie, there you talk about diminishing returns. There's like the we're gonna get to 1 second. We're get to 10 seconds. Oh, we're safe. Oh, we're gonna get to 9 seconds. Oh, we're safe. 8 seconds. Oh, no. Like it keeps going. It keeps going, and like that kind of stretches the believability a little bit. We're like, okay, now it has to be even more. Now it's
over
just
the top.
Yeah, it's just like
That's why I asked you what is it that you like about these that you don't like about the Fast and Furious series or franchise, because it has that same feel of trying to top itself every time.
Yep.
And how much bigger can you get? Now we're save every single person, and like it's just you have to suspend belief for those things. I just was disappointed that you know, when their countdowns aren't in real time, like in 24.
Yes.
I check my watch whenever there's a countdown in a movie, and if it doesn't align with real time, I get so disappointed.
This countdown ended 20 minutes ago.
Right. Yeah. But we have 5 seconds left on this podcast.
Oh God, that used 25 minutes.
To your point about the you asked me that question about Fast and the Furious, Matt. I mean, what differentiates Mission Impossible from Fast and Furious?
I am so glad that you asked that, because here's the thing.
Chelsea, thank you.
With Mission Impossible,
Chelsea.
yes.
Okay, I'm out.
With like Fast and Furious is great. That is such great, just dumb popcorn fun. Like, I don't got friends, I got family. It's fun. It's a blast.
Family, dumb, Matt. Our real relationships focuses on family relationships.
Of course. But the thing that is interesting to me about Mission Impossible as a franchise is at a certain point, and I think that's at like Ghost Protocol and beyond, for me, it's not about the stakes of what's going on. It's not about like, oh, will they get the bomb defused before the timer goes out, or will they be able to avert disaster or anything? Instead, the franchise has become, what the hell is Tom Cruise going to be doing in this movie? Like,
okay, so it's like,
what?
How are they going to do it?
Yeah.
You're sure that so the stakes are pretty low. You know everyone's going to be okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know everyone's going to be fine. But here's the thing. As and apologies to my Scientology guests.
Much appreciated. We'll tell L. Ron Hubbard that you said.
As fucking crazy as Tom Cruise is in his real life, from as far as I can tell, and he has that like weird sociopath energy, that kind of psychotic charm, I would say, and intensity. Despite all of that, I have had fantasies. This is going to be weird. I've had fantasies where like I interview Tom Cruise, and like the thing that I
do a motorcycle at the end of that interview or something.
Exactly. But what I say to him in that fantasy, like the thing that I think that I would say to Tom Cruise had I had the opportunity to, I would say, like, I would basically lavish praise upon him for what he does for the art form of filmmaking, because he literally puts his life on the line. Like,
it's crazy.
It's insane. Like, even though I didn't really like Dead Reckoning quite that much, there's like a 10-minute behind the scenes video that they released before, like months before the movie came out, that is just the behind the scenes of the jump with the motorcycle onto the train.
That's right, yeah.
And I watched that like 10-minute video like numerous times, because just to see like the engineering and the ingenuity of like Tom Cruise doing that over and over again, jumping out of a plane and doing all of these things and doing all of this. It's just so calculated, and it's so like it is an art form unto itself. And so like I think in these last 4 Mission Impossible movies, it did kind of get into a thing where I don't know specifically which stunts like these were, but like I believe that like they would start production on a Mission Impossible movie and be like, okay, well, what does Tom want to do? Tom wants to hold his breath for a ton of time. Let's build a plot around that. He wants to fly a helicopter
for a long time.
Yeah. He wants to introduce like a dogfight with biplanes. Let's build a plot around that.
Can you imagine though getting tapped to be in a Tom Cruise movie and just being so torn between like, oh, this is going to be a big deal, but also he's going to make me do my own stunts, I bet. Like, so much work, I bet, to be on a Tom Cruise set.
And every time he's like, help me help you.
Yes.
Every time, like, come on, Tom, like, you can't keep going to this Jerry Maguire thing.
Right.
You got to move on. It's like, okay. And they're like flying in the headsets, like, help me.
Oh, I thought you were going to do a Maverick line or something. Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
You could have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your mouth is writing checks your butt can't cash.
Nice.
So But I think the spectacle of it is what separates Mission Impossible from Fast and Furious, because as spectacular and entertaining as Fast and Furious is, I know there's such a practicality to the stunt performances, to the ins and outs of the production of the Mission Impossible movies, that I think that's what puts it above Fast and Furious for me.
I haven't seen them race. There's like a submarine under the water. They're racing against the submarine over the ice.
That actually happened. That's practical effects.
That's fair. That is fair. And that is a standout of that franchise, as is them flying a Fiero into space.
Those
very
are
fun movies.
The Rock holding onto a helicopter with one hand and a truck with the other hand, and keep the helicopter close to the ground.
Yeah. One of my favorite things, not to get off track or anything, but one of my favorite things from the Fast and the Furious franchise is when The Rock has his arm in a cast. He's in the hospital and he sees the news that, the team is in trouble or whatever. And he looks at his daughter and she's like, where are you going, Daddy? And he just looks at her and he's like, Daddy's got to go to work. And then he just breaks out of the cast with sheer force of will and goes to save the day. It's amazing.
That's why Rampage is such a great movie.
Rampage.
Jesus. Yeah. So the Final Reckoning. We can kind of wind down the non-spoiler stuff and get into the nitty-gritty here, but anything else stand out? How did you feel about the performances, plot? Did you leave the movie satisfied and satisfied as a conclusion to the franchise?
I thought it was a lot of fun to watch, and there were a lot of parts that I was just saying this to Brandon the other day, that there were parts of it where definitely his body, Tom Cruise's body, goes through it in this movie and gets the hell beat out of him. And there were, he's like falling off the treadmill. He scraped that guy's face against the running treadmill.
Yes.
And there are just so many parts of that movie where I found myself with my hands on my face, like, oh my God, now what is going to happen? Now it's caught fire. Are you kidding me? How are they going to get out of this? So it's definitely a fun thing to watch. And but like they are going to get out of it, but how are they going to get out of it?
Right.
So that is what keeps me sitting, watching.
Yeah. Having the first one be one of my favorite movies, coming into this, what I really appreciated was, with Dead Reckoning Part 1, introducing Kittredge again, right? So continuing on that kind of storyline, and then Donlow comes back. I don't know how much of a spoiler that is, but
people don't know that.
I'm not going to say how he comes back, but
right.
He is in it because as far as actors go, we know he's in it. I felt like it was a good. I liked them kind of closing some of those loops from the first movie. I think the final scene, it didn't feel like
Don't
closure.
Spoilers.
No, I'm not going to.
The final scene. You're going to talk about how it ends in the last 2 minutes.
No, I'm not going to go into details. I promise. But I felt like that final scene, it didn't really feel like closure. It felt still like an open ending.
Yeah, it did kind of feel like they could probably do another one if they wanted to.
And for that, I didn't like that aspect of it, but I liked everything leading up to it, with character deaths and some closures here and there.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. It didn't feel as conclusive a final installment as I expected it to, especially given how much it, again, paid homage to the franchise as a whole. There are references to just about every single installment of this franchise. And that's
even the John Woo one.
Yeah. The
Doves are a main character.
Yeah. The Doves are the entity. But I actually do think that Mission Impossible 2 is the one installment that isn't referenced anywhere in this movie. But
not even in that insane montage at the beginning.
Because not Zoe Saldana. the one who looks like my ex-sister-in-law.
Tandy Newton.
Yeah,
Tandaway.
Yeah.
Tandaway Newton.
Yes. Yeah, I do think there was like a small reference there, but as kind of look backy as this installment was, it didn't feel like a conclusive, like, oh, this is the end of the Ethan Hunt story. This is the end of the Impossible Mission Force story and everything. Like, it just feels like you said, Brandon, it feels like just the end of another installment, and that they could have another one down the road.
I might be wrong, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I feel like maybe one of the other ones ended the same way.
Probably. Now that I think about it.
But I'll wait to expound on that
In the
please.
spoiler section.
Yes, which is a perfect segue to get into spoilers. Are you guys ready to go into spoilers for Mission
Well,
Impossible?
you guys do that. I'm gonna go be a mom. I have to go order food for
Okay.
the
Yeah,
my
yeah,
kid while you guys talk about spoilers.
Okay.
Everybody dies. Everybody dies.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and go into spoilers. We're going to go ahead and go into spoilers for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. If you want to bounce around spoilers, check the show notes for timestamps. And yeah, I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. Once we come back, we're going to be spoiling The Final Reckoning.
That was just 2 months ago. This explains the handcuffs. It's still not clear why he's here.
If we want to bring the world back from the brink, we have to deal with him.
Should he choose to accept?
Smart people on every side are close to panicking.
What exactly is your plan?
All right, so spoilers on for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And Brandon, while Chelsea's away parenting your guys' child, shall we talk? Let's talk first about Luther. That's the thing in this movie that kind of, I feel like for a franchise that has been going for so long, that is focused so much on, the closeness of this group, I feel like Luther's death in the movie didn't feel like it had that emotional weight, that emotional impact that a death of that stature should have. In terms of the circumstances surrounding it and the situational aspect of it, like, it's a noble death, it's a fitting death for the character and for the team and all of that, but it just didn't feel like it was. It didn't feel like that emotional, like, gut punch that I feel like it should have. And I don't know, I'm kind of wrestling with my feelings on that. How did you feel about Luther's demise in The Final Reckoning?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like that's how Luther should have died.
Yeah.
I'm glad he died that way. Sure, but, but it's true. Like, it's the whole trope of fridging, right? Like that is a fridge moment where it's like that is what's going to motivate Ethan to really kick himself into the sixth gear.
Mm-hmm.
And there was too much like kind of like jokiness about it. Mm-hmm. I think that the point of that was like to bring levity about, like, we know what's going to happen, but let's kind of be okay about it. But how it came off as is like, you don't care that much. And like Tom Cruise, like he shakes against the bars, like,
right.
Oh, I'm gonna get you out of here.
Yeah,
so it's like, but it's not gonna happen. Spend more time of those scenes being like Luther wanting to get out there. He's like, I'm trying. I want to. I really want to. But instead, he because he's I'm assuming he has cancer. He's dying already. He's like, this is how I should die. This is how I should die. Much more resigned to his fate. If they had like maybe elaborated on that a little bit throughout the movie, a little bit more of like like this is fate is, yeah, I can be fighting cancer. I can live another day. But you know, in the end, I'm going to die still. If they had made that part of the theme of the entire movie, I think that would have had more weight to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It absolutely does. And here's the thing, like with that, I didn't remember that he was sick or anything. Like I didn't pick up on that or remember that from the last movie or anything.
Yeah, I didn't either. That felt like, because this was like how many months later from the first one, like a year later or something like that.
I think it was pretty close after the first movie. In terms of the timing of the plot, but like I remember in like the previous movie, like Ilsa dying was like a big pivotal moment. I didn't think it worked as that well there either, but like that was still something that like the reverberations of that were felt through like Ethan and everything. And then here you have Luther dying, and it's just like, all right, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Shit, he's dead.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to go dive in some water.
Right. And that's the thing. So like I will say in an effort or in a mark in the movie's favor for that is that toward the end when Benji is injured and like Grace has to perform like the surgery on him while they're defusing everything and all of that, that's fantastic. That's awesome. But there was a little moment, there was a little tiny part of me that was like, what if this movie is doing the thing that the first movie does and is like just ending up that every member of Ethan's team gets killed throughout this movie? Like,
except him.
Like, how that would have been so fucked. That would have been so, like, that would have been cruel, but it would have been really interesting. But there was a little part of me that was like, what if that was what they were doing?
Yeah, what if that was what they're doing? I want to talk about Jim Phelps Jr. in a second.
Yes.
But you know, like as far as Ethan Hunt's character, I'm like, I think the expectation is that, yeah, he sacrificed himself for the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're like, but he's not going to die because it's Tom Cruise. Why would he die? But what that subverts is you knowing that there's opportunity for another Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
Where he is a cameo in it. Mm-hmm. It's like John Wick, the ballerina.
Right.
Like, oh, there's John Wick again. He's in the trailer, so you know he's there.
Yep.
You know, he's around.
Which opens this weekend. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting that they're billing it as the final installment, but it's clearly like the door is like cracked open a little bit. But yeah, Shea Wiggum's character. How did you feel about that reveal that he was the son of, you just said his name, Jim Phelps?
Yeah, Jim Phelps. Yeah, there's a bunch of moments in this movie that I'm like, and Dead Reckoning, to be fair, I'm like, I remember watching the first Mission Impossible and being like, where's Kittredge? What happened to that guy? He disappeared. Where is he? And so that was part of my excitement for Dead Reckoning, was like, okay, cool, he's back. We're gonna start figuring out what's going on. Yeah. And then get into the other aspect of the first one, but then Shea Wiggum's Jim Phelps, and going back to my grandpa being like, they ruined the movie by making Phelps a villain. I like that. I like that tie back to,
interesting.
Like, this is, you know, they didn't lean into it. They didn't like stick with like, now this is the new Jim Phelps and he's going to be running IMF.
Right.
I'm glad they didn't go that direction. But I was like, oh, that's a cool little tie-in. That's nice. He does kind of look like him.
That's interesting, and I agree. I saw somewhere someone said something about maybe it was my friend Nick, I think, but they said like the craziest thing about The Final Reckoning is that they expect us to think that that Shea Wiggum is 36 years old, which I thought that was pretty good.
that is something like, wait, so he was 6? I don't think so. I don't think so, man. I was 13 and I don't look that old.
Right. But I mean, I feel like I didn't need that, especially with like me not really having much connection with the overall franchise or anything, but also like with it calling back so many different things, like Donlow's in this, and obviously like we have Kittredge and everything coming back, but everything just feels a bit like a bit too much, like ham-fisted. Yes. Okay. So it was my friend Nick who said, frankly, the biggest suspension of disbelief here is asking us to believe Shea Wiggum is 36. So credit where it's due. But anyway, I just feel like for a movie that has so many callbacks, not only just actual callbacks to characters and dialogue and everything, but also just like the stunt sequences. The stunts seem, while they are varied and different and interesting and new from the franchise, they do also kind of call back to other ones, like the submarine stuff, the swimming, holding his breath and everything. That calls back to, I think, Rogue Nation, the big set piece there. The biplane stuff is really cool, very colorful and exciting and everything, but it's the same concept as the helicopters in Fallout. And it just seems like there's a lot of like echoing to previous set pieces, which there's nothing wrong with it, because I was still like, it was still a butt clenching time for me, but it was still like, it's a lot of franchise retrospective here that it felt like it just muddied it for me just a little bit.
Yeah, and talking about those vignettes, right? Like all these vignettes, it's echoes of the past, and like, how do you top the things that you've already done in this series? Yeah, and so a lot of it was like, it got to the point, and Chelsea had asked about the Fast and the Furious reference, right? Like, what is different with this? This one was like, okay, you're about to go into a Fast and Furious territory here. You're almost there, but there's still a little bit of realism of the things that could happen, a little bit of science that is backing it. I'm like, okay, don't do any more though. Stop here, and then we'll be fine, and then I can call it a day. Like so many of those moments, like, God, okay. You jump into the water, and then you don't know if the submarine's going to be there, right? And then the submarine's there. If we pull this out just at the right time, we clip both these 3 wires, then we have 10 seconds to get into the bunker, the doomsday bunker. We did it. Thank you. Like everything, every vignette has to end that way. Which, you can't do this series over and over again like that. It just can't do it. Yeah, at a certain point, it does become kind of clear that this is a movie that is made from set piece to set piece, and is very much like retroactively saying like, okay, this is why we need to get to this point. And like 8 movies into the franchise, like, yeah, they've got that down to a pretty good rhythm and everything, but it still felt like it's a little piecemeal together here and there. I was still
enraptured by it, I think is the word. I was still entranced by it. I was still interested in it, but mostly just because of the spectacle. Like it just didn't feel like it carried the weight of the tension of the situations that they were doing. It was more just each individual action was what was carrying the tension for me, which isn't a bad thing, but
yeah. And set pieces are great, you know, like it. What I think I look back at the original Mission Impossible, there's set pieces there too, you know, but we talk about segues. We talk about segues in this episode, right? Like there are jarring segues, and then there are like the ones that seamlessly transition into the next piece. This one felt like, here's episode 1. Now here's episode 2. And then there's like, there's the voiceover, like, all right, now we're going to do this. And again, the next episode.
Yeah, exactly.
There's Rick and Morty is on season 8. Second episode just came out. And in this episode, Rick is the main character, and then his daughter Beth, they're trying to figure out where this assassin is, and just happens to be on the same weekend we're watching Mission Impossible. And Rick and Beth they're doing the voiceover, and they're like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hit up Cisco. He's gonna give us the codes to the thing. And she's like, who's Cisco? He's like, oh yeah, Cisco. Yeah, he's responsible. Blah blah blah. And they're going the voiceover is how she's like, I don't know who this Cisco guy is. Meantime, the actual visual is how all of that plan is not going to fruition, and Cisco doesn't open his door. Nothing's going right. She's like, we're gonna have to run and gun through this whole thing. He's like, we're not gonna have to run and gun. The actual scene is them running and gunning. And juxtapose that with Mission Impossible, where they're like, all right, here's the plan. And as they're telling the plan, they're showing how that plan is executing flawlessly. You know, I just, that's how I feel about Mission Impossible. Is like, it's like voiceover, plan. We're doing it.
I left for a minute, came back, and it was a Rick and Morty podcast.
Yes.
Welcome.
We switched over to interdimensional RSS. I tried to
talk about whatever we want now.
Yeah. And believe me, I pushed him to do submitted for your approval, and he said, no, I can't do it.
And Rod Serling said, look, if you're going to do a voiceover,
reel him in, man.
Nice.
Get it
nice.
together.
I will reel him in with the appropriate amount of apathetic enthusiasm I can muster.
Look at you.
Chelsea, you've been listening, you've been absorbing everything. You were here the entire time. As far as spoilers go, for the movie, like what do you feel about how the movie ended? And
okay, the end where they all just like look at each other and like give a little wink and a smile, like go back into the crowd. Didn't feel very satisfying to me, especially his love interest walked away. I was like, what? They're not even going to be together?
Yeah, and that's something that I felt kind of not an issue with, because I don't know necessarily if Grace is supposed to be
not a love interest.
Maybe not. I think it's kind of up in the air, because his love interest was Ilsa, who died in the last movie, whose death carried more weight than whose death carried more weight than Luther's in this movie. But I also kind of feel like Tom Cruise, I don't know, he's got
a James Bond kind of thing where it's like he has a new girl every episode, every movie. So that's why I just assumed that this was his new interest. But you're right, they didn't have very many romantic moments, but he seemed very protective of her specifically.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What did you like the entity spoilers, gets put into this cube. And it's like, oh, it's lit up. The entity's in there. And then they give it to Tom Cruise at the end.
Yeah.
What was your reading of
My
that?
thought on that was she had said during the movie at some point, you're the only person I would trust to hold onto something like that. So that was just their team saying that we trust you to not do anything weird or wrong with this. You go hide this. But I know that your issue was smash it.
Why don't they fucking break that shit?
That's what I was thinking too. Like, because I can understand like wanting to capture, like basically doing the Ghostbusters thing. And like having it trapped and then like just throw it in an incinerator because you can't like, it can't go into a computer.
Go into the ether.
Yeah.
Ethernet.
Nice. That was something that was a little confusing. Not confusing, but it was, I guess, because
I was just like, where's the Pulp Fiction tie-in
yeah.
where you find out that that's what's inside the glowing case?
Yes.
Hello.
Well, that's the thing too. So one of the other things we were talking about how it like one of my kind of criticisms of it is that it was calling back throughout the franchise, and that's great for that, but it didn't finish conclusively enough to be the franchise ender for me. But with all those callbacks, one of the callbacks it makes made me laugh. And it kind of tickled my brain a little bit. It was how they talked about the rabbit's foot from Mission Impossible 3, which for those listening, Mission Impossible 3 was the J.J. Abrams one. J.J. Abrams loves his mystery box, so he will leave stuff unanswered and everything. And like Mission Impossible 3 was very much a J.J. Abrams movie. The entire MacGuffin of the movie is this rabbit's foot that we never have any kind of, it's never given any inclination of what the rabbit's foot is at all. And that's kind of like the brilliance.
4 through 7, it didn't mention the rabbit foot at all.
No, it was just a self-contained thing. In the third one, it's like, yeah, this is a doomsday device of some kind. This is some kind of important thing. We need to get it back. And it's like, okay, cool. Like it worked because it allowed it to be a personal story for Ethan because his wife was
she was being held hostage or something.
Oh yeah. So that was great. And then here I respect them for doing the almost like the Fast and Furious type of thing where it's like, oh, we're going to call back to this thing that when it was made in the third movie, like when it was done in the third movie, we had no inclination, no idea that it would be something that would tie into the end run of the franchise, but we're going to retroactively do that. We're going to retcon things and make it that. And it fits.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, I liked it just because.
What year was the third one made? And then
I think that was like 2006.
And then it comes back in the 8th and you're like trying to be like, what was that thing?
Yeah. Well, I like it if only because it gives this kind of it ties the franchise together a little bit closer. But the thing that I kind of like about it, the like mental thing I have, the joke that I keep making in my head is I just imagine J.J. Abrams, who again, he is all about the mystery box. He's all about keeping things secret and everything and being all about like nothing. If you open the mystery box and see what's inside, it's not going to be as satisfying as anything your mind can conjure up. So I'm going to tell stories that, yeah. I just imagine him sitting in the theater and being like, they fucking ruined my mystery box. Like, why would they do that? Why would they ruin it?
That's not what's inside it, you guys.
Yeah. Those jerks ruined my mystery box. Brandon, what did you think of them tying the entity source code stuff to the rabbit's foot in Mission Impossible 3 that was intentionally left ambiguous in Mission Impossible 3 in classic J.J. Abrams fashion?
You know, this is one of those rare cases where an Abrams mystery box, it's like, oh, we'll take that and we'll actually take something from it and make a new story. You talk about
do you think he was pissed that they
Last Jedi and like God, Abrams. Yeah.
Do you think he wanted it to be a mystery and he was mad that they blew his mystery?
Yeah. When I think of Abrams and Mystery Box, I think of
Fiction.
Carlton Cuse and Damon Lindelof from Lost, and being like, you know what? Let's the question is more interesting than the answer.
As Matt had just said, if you had been listening.
Yeah, I was.
Yes.
I was. and so I just want to reemphasize that point.
Good job. You guys are on the same page. I'm
Nice.
Lindelof. And, when
now you don't know where to go because you're afraid to say something that Matt's already said.
yeah. After 5 other movies, you're like, okay, now it's time to answer the questions. This is more interesting. Once we get the answers, now there's resolution.
Okay. No one has said that yet.
Yeah. Like I said before,
I looked at Chelsea to make sure no one said that.
I did like how it tied some loose ends together with the franchise. Like, I like in theory the idea that, oh yeah, okay, the entity has been something that's been in like on the periphery of things in the 3rd movie, and we didn't know or anything. But I also think it's funny that there was one dangling thread in the whole franchise that's like, oh, we can clearly tie this back because J.J. Abrams didn't want to. He wanted to keep his secrets.
What if the person who, the McQuarrie guy, Chris McQuarrie, what if he has like beef with J.J. Abrams and so he did that on purpose just to piss him off?
That's
fun.
like Ryan
That
Johnson.
could be it. Yes.
One of the I'll just say this: the one thing I really liked of many things in the movie was talking about the knock list and like in that little dialogue of like, what's a knock list? And like, well, it's all the spies, and then like it shows like the floppy disk, the 3.5-inch floppy disk from the first
I liked
movie.
that too because I was like, I only remember the first one, only talk about the first one, only reference the first one. Although I will say that when Dunlow came back, I was like, oh, look at this guy. What a nice face that man has. And then they showed a flashback of him, from the first one. And I was like, oh, I remember that guy. That guy I don't like that guy's face. And then all of a sudden I put it together and I was like, oh, the guy with the annoying face is the guy with the nice face. Oh my gosh. I didn't even recognize him at all.
I really liked that the interaction between him and Ethan in the plane, where he's like, I don't know how to make this up to you, like I don't know how to repent for this. He's like, no, like what you did a good thing because I met my wife.
That's so nice.
And I would have been
really
stuck,
sweet.
Like I think that was such a great way to be like, because I whenever I watched the first Mission Impossible, I'm like, God, that guy got fucked.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that they didn't ship him off to, where was it again? Where were they in the Antarctic?
Well, no, he went to some base in the Antarctic.
The Sosis.
But that's where he went.
Yes. But I'm glad that he didn't get shipped off there and then be like, well, there's only one lady who lives in this town, so I guess I'll marry her. So I liked that he professed his love for his wife, so that made me feel better. And she was really cool. I liked her.
Oh yeah, that was good, and I'm glad they survived. That was that was good.
Mm-hmm. But that was the part that when their cabin caught fire, I was just like almost threw my hands up. I was like, now fucking what? Are you kidding me? Now they have to get out of a fire?
Yep.
Oh my god.
But then she taught Haley Atwell to mush, and then she took a nap on the dogs.
I know.
Dog sled.
And Haley Atwell somehow speaks whatever language they were speaking.
Yeah.
Because she understood enough to say like that the husband and wife were talking to each other in code, and code being a different language than English or Russian.
Right. Kind of the final thing, and then I can let you guys go to tend
final
to
wrecking.
Yes. And Asai Morales, his character in this movie, he's played up like noticeably more cartoonish, more silly, more over the top than he was in Dead Reckoning. And like the moment where like he's saying the most cartoonishly villain things, like even over the intercom when they're in the planes. And like, I loved that, like you could barely understand what the hell he was saying, but he was so like fanatical and crazy and everything that you can just tell the craziness coming off of him.
Remind me what he said.
He was saying things like, oh God, I can't remember. Stuff like,
I'll get you, Ethan.
Basically, stuff like that. Like there's no winning or something, like just like weird, like villain platitudes or whatever.
Yeah, he's taunting him through the clouds. Come on, Ethan.
Yeah. And
I
then
thought you wanted to play.
the way that his character ends in this movie is so brilliant.
God.
It's so
good.
Sudden.
It's like anticlimactic.
Only one of us has a parachute.
Yes. That was
right.
And when his head just gets smashed by the tail of the plane, I'm just like, I laughed like I try to stay quiet in the movie theater, but like I laughed like forcefully.
All three of us laughed.
It was amazing.
Can you imagine when you're making that movie and you're like, let's have him hit his dick first?
Yes.
Like just a bunch of people sitting around like, let's just do a crotch joke right here.
So good. So damn good.
That was good.
What I love about that moment is the entity is like, I see all. Oh, predictions.
Why is the entity a man?
They are like, oh, I see all. Right. And
why is the entity non-binary? Why can't it be a woman?
God damn it.
It did have a masculine sounding voice.
That's true. That's what I was leaning into.
Sorry, go ahead.
But like it's like it predicts everything, right? And then I think like one of the themes is of the film is nothing is written. It doesn't matter if something can predict all these different variables. There's always another variable that it cannot predict.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ethan has been chasing this guy. Gabriel is what got him into the IMF in the first place. And now, here it is. And you think it's going to be a big, like, Ethan's got him, and Ethan kills him in a way that it's like satisfying. He deserves this. This feels so great. But instead,
just such a bungled
Gabriel
boy.
Gabriel's like, only one of us has a parachute. Tail.
So good.
Slides off.
It was unexpected.
What an ending to that
because nothing is written. It was
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yep.
But then there is an extra parachute, and then
good.
Tom Cruise survives.
There is, and then he takes time to put his parachute on. Like he's about to slip the poison pill into the what's it called? The pod deck. No,
what's a pod deck called? We know the poison pill, but the other.
What's the other thing called? The pond deck.
It's something like that. Yeah.
I'm gonna call it the iPod.
Sure.
And so he's
iPod
about to slip
shuffle.
the poison pill into the iPod, and he's so close to doing it, and then he's like, "Ugh, hold on, let me put my parachute."
This plane's on.
Just slip it in and then put your parachute.
This
on.
plane's on fire. I should probably figure out my
So
parachute.
creepy.
Yeah.
And I know that Haley's out there waiting to clip the cable, but survive too.
Right.
I'm kind of selfish.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall thoughts on the Final Reckoning. Where do you rank it in the franchise? And are you content with there not being any more Mission Impossibles, or would you see another one?
I rank it number 2 because I can only remember 2 of them.
Nice.
So it's to me, it didn't beat the first one. That's just me. The first one was too it's too iconic. It's hard to, for me, it just sits so on such a high pedestal.
So you heard it here first. Chelsea Cruz, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is the worst Mission Impossible movie I have seen.
Garbage. You heard what I said. I said it. Say it again. Watch the first one only, and then never watch any other one. That is my Final Reckoning.
Nice.
Goodbye.
And Brandon?
Thoughts? You remember all of them. Who directed? Who wrote them? Who the cinematographer was?
I do. You threw me off because I'm like, if you only watch the first one, you can't jump right to this one. It would be the worst one. If you did Dead Reckoning, you'd be like, okay, I wonder how much of Dead Reckoning you would need to know from the first one to that one. Could it be a direct sequel? I don't know. I want to test that. It was good.
Someone that you who've seen all 8, where would you put it? Rank them all in order of best to worst right now.
Thanks for aligning me. Probably Mission Impossible 2, and then Dead Reckoning, and then Final Reckoning, and then Mission Impossible 1 as the worst, and best to worst.
2 is your favorite one with John Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
It's
because the doves. You love the doves so much.
I hate
He loves
doves
animals.
so much. I do.
It's hard not to love a dove.
I do. Yeah. No.
Love a dove. Little Rick and Morty.
Yeah. I love you so much. It's a decent finale to it. I don't want them to belittle or cheapen this movie by releasing another one.
Yeah,
eventually.
I agree. Then it would feel like Shark. It's like, we're doing it. This is our final one. One more. But this time it's Ethan Hunt's daughter.
Right.
Now it's Jim Phelps Jr. Running.
By the way, doesn't
Ethan's
Jim Phelps Jr. look so much like Michael Douglas?
And
Is
falling
it
down.
just me?
Yeah, a little bit.
He looks so much like Michael Douglas to me.
Yeah.
By the way, check out episode 4 of Our Real Relationships with Falling Down.
Or we watched Falling Down, yeah.
Yeah.
We did give a charity to mental health.
Nice.
I want to talk about movies all the time with you, Matt. I feel like
thank
I
you.
learned so much.
Yeah, I'm very good at masking my anxiety for this podcast.
Oh, you are, because you don't seem to have any at all. I left twice.
No, you didn't. You were here in
No, I was here the whole time.
Yeah, you were here the whole time. You were both here the whole time. But like I said before, I don't think I don't think any of the movies in this franchise top Fallout. That's my favorite. But Final
I better
Reckoning.
go back and watch that one right now.
Yeah,
Do you
so
think I
good.
could go and watch Fallout without having to watch 2 through
Oh,
4?
absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Is it standalone?
It's fairly standalone. I mean, there are references here and there, but it's pretty standalone. But like the action, the set pieces, everything about it is so like on another level that even if you are lost plot wise, you'll have just as good a time watching
enjoy
it.
it. I'm good. That's going to be the next movie I watch. Then is going to be Mission Impossible Fallout, because I honor your recommendation.
They introduced Monahan in 3, and then Fallout that
That's
expands
true. That is true.
I've had my fill of Monahan. She was in the last season of White Lotus, so if she's not in Fallout, I'm fine. I just watched her a bunch.
She is in Fallout.
She is.
Oh,
yeah.
Does she die in it?
No.
Ugh. Does she have brunch with Leslie Bibb?
I think that's a deleted
That's
scene.
a White Lotus, right?
Oh wow. Well,
thanks for having us, Matt.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for joining me here. If you could, before you guys go, could you tell people where they can find you online, where they can find Our Real Relationships, and Brandon, your other shows, including Submitted for Your Approval?
Yeah. So, Our Real Relations.
Oh boy,
relationships.
Our Real Relationships. You're 3 whiskeys in too.
Yeah, true.
Our Real Relationships. At Instagram, it's at Our Real Relationships. REEL. On Blue Sky, it's Our Real Relations.bsky.social. And YouTube, you can go to Apathetic Enthusiasm, and it's under the grand umbrella of Apathetic Enthusiasm.
That's right. As for the Twilight Zone podcast, S4YA, submitted for your approval. Check us out. I think I'm in season 3 somewhere. Someday.
And you're announcing now that you're bringing it back starting tomorrow?
Yeah, no, a new episode is tomorrow.
I love that podcast. I did it a couple of times. It's fun. That's a fun one.
It's a blast. Oh yeah.
Matt and Chelsea are both going to be on it for the next
do it.
episode.
Yeah.
The episodes are shorter, so I'll remember more.
Yeah, that's right. And you're part of it now. Like you're a podcaster now.
Yes.
Oh boy. Do not label me. Don't put me in your box.
Then Travis Menard and I have Apathetic Enthusiasm, and we have the Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast. Season 8 of Rick and Morty is going on. We are covering that. We're gonna have some interviews with cast and crew going into the future. It's great. The new season is so fantastic. I crack up, and Chelsea, she can attest. She can tell me. She
Brandon's
can tell you
nonstop laughter over here.
Nice.
That's how it's.
A constant ball of giddiness.
But
Nice.
it's so good. And Matt, we thank you so much for inviting us on to talk about this.
I'm sorry, I'm definitely not up to your standards of movie
No.
viewing. I thought I was an obsessive viewer, but now I feel ashamed.
You
I'm
were
a
great.
casual
I
viewer.
know. I guess I'm just a normie. Oh, no,
A
I'm just
normie
watching
viewer.
it for funsies.
If you guys start a
What?
podcast
Annoying.
called Casual Viewers, I swear to God, you will hear from my lawyers.
It's going to be
But-
called Our Casual Viewer.
Nice. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I will let you guys go have dinner and tend to your child. I will put links to all of your stuff in the show notes. But yeah, for the listeners, stay tuned because I'm going to go into the secondary review, but we're going to bid adieu to Brandon and Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this episode.
Thank you.
And you're welcome back anytime. So
Great. See you tomorrow.
All right.
See ya.
Let's talk about Mountaineers or whatever that.
Yeah.
We haven't
Right.
watched it yet, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Bye, Matt. Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.
They tell me I view obsessively.
All right, and before we get to our secondary review, I want to take a quick moment to remind you that if you like the show, please take a moment to follow us on social media and subscribe to and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or whatever your preferred podcast app is. And don't forget to subscribe to the Obsessive Viewer Podcast YouTube channel as well, where I have a scattering of different video content up there and some live streams of podcasts. And if you're interested in starting a podcast of your own, you can go to Libsyn and use the promo code OBSESS. When you sign up for a new account, you'll get up to 2 months free depending on when you sign up, and we'll get a commission on it as well. More details on that in the show notes of this episode. And now back to the show.
They tell me I view obsessively.
All right. 4 presidents of tech. Get your net worth. 59. 63 bill. Feels good. 220
Guys, is this on every channel? There have been a number of occurrences since your launch.
UN officials are now openly attributing the recent uptick in ethnic tension to powerful new generative AI tools unveiled last week on Tram.
I just want to say this is not on you, Venice.
Obviously, it's not on me. Why would you even say that?
All right, and for this week's secondary review, I'm going to be sharing my non-spoiler thoughts on Mountainhead, the directorial debut of Jesse Armstrong, written and directed by Jesse Armstrong. It's streaming on HBO Max as of May 31st, 2025, and the plot summary, courtesy of IMDb, is 4 friends reunite during worldwide economic turmoil. The cast includes Steve Carell, Jason Schwartzman, Corey Michael Smith, and Rami Youssef. And like I said, this is the directorial debut of Jesse Armstrong, who created Succession on HBO. And this is very much in a very similar vein to Succession. It's 4 billionaires that are talking very rapidly about the state of the world and their role within the world, and like the power dynamics that their wealth allows them to have. And the key difference between Succession and Mountainhead is that Mountainhead is more deeply entrenched with being a satire and being a dark comedy as well. And that's something that's something that I feel like isn't done well enough to separate it from the Succession comparisons. So the first half of this movie, I was really struggling with the thought. I just kept thinking, if Jesse Armstrong wanted to make more Succession, he should have just made more Succession instead of this, because this movie feels like a Succession episode. And I feel like there's nothing inherently wrong with that. There's nothing inherently wrong because Succession was amazing. And the key difference with Mountainhead and Succession is that these four people at the center of the movie are tech bros. It's the crypto fascism tech bro. And because of that, there's this level of this more heightened sense of douchebag, sort of self-importance, not even self-importance, but I don't know how else to explain it except that it's this kind of like air of superiority over everyone in the world, basically, and this untouchable nature to them. So the first half of this movie feels like Succession, which again isn't a bad thing. It just feels everything from the way it's written, the way it's shot, the way that the music plays, because this shares so much DNA with Succession, not just Jesse Armstrong, but the composer and producers and everything. It's very much of the mind of Succession. But here's the thing: about halfway through the movie, or toward the end of the movie, it pivots a little bit, and it takes a turn into much more of a dark comedy storyline. And I'm not going to give anything of any of that away or anything, but suffice it to say that the third act of this movie is full bore dark comedy. And that meshes pretty well with the social satire of the movie, kind of just depicting billionaires and doing this kind of soft, not even really soft satire, but this satire of these tech billionaires who are so out of touch. They have no empathy for human lives that are being lost essentially in this movie as a direct result of their technology, the source of their wealth. So that emotional disconnect between humanity and the billionaires in this movie goes a long way for the social satire. But once it switches over to dark comedy, I think that it's such a big pivot that I don't feel like the movie really earned the dark comedy aspects of the dark comedy. So it didn't really earn that switch over to comedic, a comedic scenario. I'm trying to be vague so I don't give away exactly what happens or anything, but suffice it to say, when it switches to the black comedy part of it, or the dark comedy of it, it doesn't ring as true as the first half of the movie, where there are these douchebag characters that are talking very rapidly and very authoritatively about their role within the government and within the world, as the world around them is in this really big tumultuous time. And so I don't know, it just seems like the movie is just kind of separated between those two kind of tones. And the thing that bridges those things together, there's this moment around halfway through the movie where the conversation kind of shifts a little bit. It structurally, it's a pretty solid structure for a movie, because we have these four guys talking about what's going on and trying to make deals and trying to figure out their place and everything. And then the conversation shifts to this kind of big brain sort of idea that they hatch. And from there it gets into the dark comedy in the third act, which I understand the trajectory of the story and allowing us to get to that dark comedy bit, but it wasn't as present in the DNA of the movie up to then. So once it switches to that and goes into kind of pretty hilarious, to all told, it's pretty funny at least, but comic-minded dark comedy, it's just, it doesn't really gel with the rest of the movie. And maybe part of that is because I spent the first half of this movie just kind of like taking it in as like a Succession spin-off movie, basically. Not even spin-off, but like a Succession adjacent storyline or Succession adjacent movie. And because of that, I just kind of settled into this rhythm and this familiarity, since I watched all of Succession and really liked it, that I wouldn't even say I was blindsided by the pivot or anything, but I was just kind of, I was unimpressed by it. I was unimpressed by it. And the resolution of it all, like it's satisfying in that dark comedy thing. Like when it ends the way it does, it kind of fits with the whole movie. But it also feels like it's not saying much in terms of the big macro picture of like these billionaires or billionaires in general, like tech bro billionaires. It doesn't seem like it's really having much to say aside from what's on the surface, which that's another thing. The movie is not subtle. It's very much a pretty straightforward social satire, but that's also part of the reason why I feel like I couldn't really connect to it in at least the first like part of the movie. And that's because that first half of the movie where we're really dealing with the dialogue, the overlapping dialogue, the witticisms of these characters talking about their work and how like powerful they are and everything. Like the way that the conversations go, the way that the dialogue is kind of splayed out in the movie, it is building up as like this social satire, a satire of the billionaire class or tech bro culture and like crypto fascism, tech bros. Like it is very much satirizing that. The problem with that is those people, from my perspective, the tech bro billionaires who like the crypto fascist tech bro billionaires, they are already so out of touch and so their mere existence is self-satire. So to satire them, to take a satirical spin on them in a movie is just kind of putting a hat on a hat. Like it seems like it's trying to demonstrate how over the top these people are in a satirical sense. And like, that's fine, but it's also, the problem with that is they're already over the top. So anything that you do to try to heighten that for a film is just going to be is just going to be there as it already exists in terms of things that are over the top. So there's no way to kind of punch up from that, or there's no way to build up from that for satirical purposes. So because that first half of the movie is pretty straightforward as a depiction of billionaire douchebag tech bros, once it switches to a more heightened dark comedy, situational dark comedy, that pivot is also pretty not alarming, but it just doesn't, that's why it doesn't fit well, because we've been in this satire that is pretty much just normal. Like it's satirizing something, but it's being a pretty normal depiction, sadly, of ridiculous, abnormal people, basically. So I don't know, but despite all that, the movie is good. I ended up rating it 3 stars. It's entertaining. The chemistry among the cast, I mean, the cast is great. It's Steve Carell, Jason Schwartzman, Corey Michael Smith, and Rami Youssef. And they're great together. Their chemistry is fantastic. It's really good. The problems I have are just kind of at the script level, and it just doesn't really seem to really know how to connect the billionaire satire with the heightened dark comedy third act. So I think that's basically all I've got on Mountainhead. Again, that is streaming on Max, and I rated it 3 stars. I would recommend checking it out. I mean, that's the other thing. It's, in terms of satirizing, billionaires and everything, we've gotten a ton of like Eat the Rich social satire movies that I feel like play into this sort of thing. Like the one that I can think of immediately is like Glass Onion, Rian Johnson's second Knives Out movie, that plays into this type of person very well, and does it in a way that's heightened satire, parody of them. This is a more grounded satire that tries to do something in that dark comedy space that just doesn't bridge that gap between the two tones. Had they been more heightened in terms of the satire of them in the first half, like, I think it would have worked pretty well for that second half. And like, there's little touches here and there. Like, they, like, as they're having this conversation in the kitchen, they're talking about something, they're like building toward this idea that is kind of appalling, and it's really like this massive undertaking that they're thinking about doing, and they're saying it with so much bravado and just confidence that's unearned, apparently. And they're saying like, yeah, we can do this. Like, we can orchestrate this event so that we can do this and that and everything. You can control this, you can control that. Like, doing this very like quick assignment of tasks for this horrendous thing that they're thinking about doing. And then, like, someone points out that Steve Carell's character is boiling an egg without any water, so he goes to try to get the water, and the water's turned off. And there's this moment where everyone's like, oh, how do we get the water back on and everything? And it's like they went from talking about like this ridiculous, like, heightened undertaking that they're talking about doing, and talking about doing it in such a confident way, and then they can't even get water in the pot to boil an egg. And I like that. I like that as a comedic thing, but I feel like that was like few and far between throughout that first half of the movie. So had it like hit that more, I think it would have been a little bit better, and I would have swallowed that third act kind of change up a lot easier. So, but yeah, that is officially all I have to say on Mountainhead. I'm not going to say anything for potpourri. I'm not going to do a potpourri section, but I do want to say that you can check out Mountainhead on HBO Max. And yeah, so I'm going to kind of start winding down, start closing out the episode. I do want to say thank you once again to Chelsea and Brandon Cruz from Our Real Relationships podcast. I said it right. Nice. Definitely check them out. Links in the show notes of this episode, of course. And that'll do it for this week's episode of The Obsessive Viewer. As always, thank you so much for listening, and make sure to follow the show on social media and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast app. Also, check out Obsessive Viewer Podcast's other shows, Tower Junkies, a Stephen King podcast hosted by Tiny and myself, which is going to have a new episode reviewing The Life of Chuck later this week, so look forward to that. And also check out Anthology, my solo sci-fi podcast reviewing The Twilight Zone and other shows. That's at anthologypod.com. Next week on the show, I'll be reviewing the new How to Train Your Dragon live-action movie and Echo Valley, so check that out next week. Until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. And now, enjoy this short clip from a recent Patreon-exclusive episode. For the full episode and more Patreon-exclusive content, sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. This movie takes what is a painful thing, what is a painful existence, and it just contextualizes it in such a way that makes you just really think about the beauty in the world. And here's the thing, in the novella. Thank you for listening to the Obsessive Viewer podcast. This episode was produced and edited by me, Matt Hurt. If you have feedback, thoughts on our episodes, or just want to connect, you can email me at matt@obsessiveviewer.com. For more information on this show, including a full archive of our episodes and show notes, visit obsessiveviewer.com. And if you enjoyed the show, please give us a follow on social media and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice so you never miss an episode. Also, consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible to help increase our visibility and grow our community. If you want to support the show and get early access to new episodes, as well as a steady stream of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. For information on more podcasts presented by obsessiveviewer.com, visit obsessiveviewer.com/podcasts. Our theme song is A Little Mad Sometimes by As Good As It Gets. For more of their music, check them out on Spotify and at asgoodasitgetsmusic.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn. Check out the show notes for your promo code to get started podcasting today.